As we reach the conclusion of yet another spooky season on the channel, guys, we can't officially move along until we wrap up October. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back to do another monthly wrap-up, this time for October of 2022. The third spooky season on the channel has officially come to a close. Always a fun time for me personally. A little bit of a struggle on the channel, and we'll talk about that, but it's always something that I enjoy doing because I do love me some ghouls and goblins and all of those things that go bump in the night. But guys, let's just do like usual. Let's jump into it here with what I read in October. I started 6 books, finished 5 of them. Let's go ahead and talk about those one at a time here. Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman. Thought it was a very good book. I do think it has been hyped a little too much on the old booktube here because I did enjoy it, but it was kind of one of those books that like 10 minutes later I wasn't thinking about it anymore. So it wasn't anything that I would say, I'm going to say, hey, bust your TBR and do it right now. Well, I definitely think if you are interested in something like a little medieval horror, I think that might be something that you're interested in. It is a very good story, and I am willing to give Mr. Buehlman another try. As far as what I do next, I couldn't tell you, but I did like the book, but I do think it wasn't quite as good as advertised. Next up, The Blackest Heart by Brian Lee Durfee, a book that I actually sadly hit a little bit of a fantasy burnout during the middle of, so it took me a little longer to finish it than it did Forgetting Moon. I don't think it was as good as Forgetting Moon. It did have some stuff in the middle where you could tell he was setting up where the story. A little bit of middle book syndrome, I think, here, but still, again, a very, very competent fantasy story when you talk about how many moving parts that he has in that story, how many characters he has. It's easy enough to follow along. I don't think you got to be like a super savvy fantasy veteran really to enjoy that story. I think it helps, but like I say, if you've read something like A Faithful and the Fallen or A Song of Ice and Fire, I think you're going to not only be okay reading it, but you're going to enjoy what is there. And he's set up the ending of that like, wow, okay, so I can't wait to see where he does conclude that next month. It's going to be exciting. Well, I guess it's this month. It's at the very end of the month, so it's hard for me to think about it that way. So the very end of this month, we'll be getting Lonesome Crown. I look forward to it. The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty, a book that absolutely met all the expectations that I had placed on it. And like The Godfather, that's another one of those big ones where I got to cross it off my bucket list. You know, as ones that I love the movies, but I never actually read the book. So I'm glad that I finally did it because both have been very, very good. Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. That was one that I actually moved up. I didn't expect to get to this until November, but it was just one of those days where I just said, you know what? Not feeling it, I'm going to pick this up, and I read it, and I really, really enjoyed it, guys. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I know there were some people who were like concerned. Like I think most people thought that I would like it, knowing how much I love character work, and obviously Ms. Hobb has quite the reputation for her character work. So I think that it wasn't really a shock to me. There was a couple people that were convinced I was going to hate it, and that's fine. I mean, because I think with the way that the Farseer trilogy ended, I wasn't crazy about. And I won't lie, that did demotivate me a little bit, and I had to put Miss Hobb on the bench for a little bit. But I never thought that I was not going to return to it. So I'm glad that I have. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. And I know that some people were concerned about the whole nautical thing with me. Hasn't been a problem. Like I said, it really does feel like a character study that happens to take place on boats sometimes. So I'm quite interested in that. In fact, with that series, the boats are characters too. So that helps quite a bit. So I'm enjoying that. I'm actually reading Mad Ship right now. That's how much I liked it. And then Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. That's the one I didn't finish yet. It's at 33%, and I've shelved it. Now, if you want to know the difference, guys, shelved means you will plan to return to it eventually. It's different than a DNF where you have no plans to return to it. I don't feel like he was that good at the slice of life stuff that I really appreciate from some other authors like McCammon, like King. You know, I wasn't really feeling it. And the first third of that book is very much slice of life, and it's just not that interesting, really. And I know a lot of people tell me, like, you're stopping right before it gets amazing. I mean, maybe so. But I just, after I put it down and started something else, and I've read 3 books since then, it's got me thinking I'm probably not going back to it. So it's one of those, like I said, I'll put on the shelf to go back to eventually. But I'm looking at some of the other books I've had on there. I've had on there indefinitely. Emperor of Thorns has been on there indefinitely. Time of Contempt has been on there indefinitely. Inheritance Cycle has been on there indefinitely. So It's one of those things that I intend to go back to it, but I couldn't tell you when. And sometimes it just means like that might be like the polite DNF. I don't know. But right now I have no interest in going back to it. It just really did not hook me. And I think giving it 1/3 of the story should have been long enough for me to at least identify with some of these characters or like some of these characters. And I couldn't even tell you who was who at this point. So there we go, guys. But it is the time to talk about the book of the month for October. Now, little thing that made this a little easier for me was because usually I have to say, I don't count rereads. Well, I didn't do any rereads this month, so there's that. I think if you've watched the channel, if you're a constant watcher of the channel, I think this is going to be easy to see. It's the only one of these books that I actually reviewed on the channel, and I just talked about how much it really did exceed expectations. I'm talking about The Exorcist. Of course, this was going to win for me, I think. Look, Ship of Magic came close, all right? But it's one of those things where I'm like, look, I really did enjoy that, but The Exorcist wowed me. I felt like what I didn't understand about that book going in is I thought it was just going to be all about the frights and the creeps and the horror, and that's in there. That's in there. All that stuff that you know from that movie is in there. I didn't expect it to be such a good character study on Father Karras and on Chris. Just watching those two go through what they go through in that story, it made the demon / Reagan the third most interesting character in that book, and that's quite impressive. It really is. So when you have a mountain of expectations and you're able to actually crush it on that, I think that is every bit of what you're looking for with the book of the month, right? So I really don't have very much criticism at all. The Kinderman stuff was kind of to me. I talked about it when I did that review on the channel, so you can go find that if you'd like to hear me talk more about it. But yeah, easy pick for me this month. Like I said, Ship of Magic did kind of push it a little bit, but we're talking about, one of the most legendary horror novels, maybe the most legendary horror novel outside of like Dracula maybe ever. So it's easy to see why this was going to win for me, because I do adore that movie, and now I have the book to adore right next to it. And I will say, guys, one of the most faithful adaptations I've ever seen. It really is pretty dang close to the book. I think the book expands. Kinderman's obviously in a lot more. The movie kind of cuts that down. So, but if you're wanting more of that stuff, it is all in there. But again, fantastic character study of two major characters, and I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it, and every bit the classic that it was advertised as. So guys, book of the month for October is The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. Highest of recommends. I hope you will check it out. Let's go ahead and talk about some the real horror on the channel this month is my channel growth. Now look, whenever I have a big month, and September was a great month, it's the best month for the year on the channel, it seems like the next month is always a big drop off, and that combined with spooky season every year not being that well received on the channel, I kind of somewhat expected it. So 3 years straight, I've had historically great Septembers and a fall off in October. So I don't know if that's just one of those things, where YouTube changes something like they do at the new year every year and things kind of just seem weird. Or like I said, if it's just horror content just doesn't click with my audience, I'm not really sure. But I felt like it was pretty much a normal month. I don't know. But 3 straight years of really great Septembers and really lackluster Octobers makes me think that, maybe that is what it is. But 1,895 new subscribers. That is down 919 from September. 57,000 hours watched, down 3,000 from September, and 362,000 views, down 35,000 from September. So all three of your headliners there, not looking good. So worst overall month since April. So ouch, ouch. After last month in the segment saying I really like the direction the channel is going in. Look, peaks and valleys when it comes to being a content creator. You can't let it get you down. Some months are going to be great and unexpectedly, and some months not so much. So, here it is, guys. Just hope for better things in November, right? Hopefully people got some time off and, they'll decide to give me a try again. So I hope I didn't lose too many of you with all that horror stuff that I love to talk about. Let's go ahead and move along to most popular content. I did 19 videos this month. And now I did get the flu, so that actually did hinder me a little bit. It was hard for me to get some things out there for a couple of weeks. And, we've been passing that around the house. Wife has it right now as we're speaking. So, it's been kind of a rough month, making sure I get all that schedule, kind of, trying to get Mike's media reviews off the ground and all that stuff. And that's actually kind of been a stumble out of the gate. But, hey, this is what we do, right? This is fun of it. But look, for this, I don't count shorts, which I've just recently started doing. Still not sure how I feel about them. Or weekly updates don't count on these things. I like to just keep it just original videos here. So number one, I think this is quite obvious. Spur of the moment one that I just decided to do, and I'm glad because it kind of saved my stats for this month. 15 worst books I've read since I began this channel. So basically my 15 worst of the last 3 years. 25,000 views as of recording this. So I always joke that the only thing people like more than me talking about what I've read is what I'm going to read. The only thing they like more than that is hearing me talk about things I did not like. Because I think it's because I don't do that very often. I try to stay really positive on this channel, and I think in that video I was quite positive as I could be. I've said that, when I say the words worst, I don't mean that this book is the worst, I don't mean this author's the worst. I just mean maybe I had like the worst of times while reading it. So that's the way that I like to do it. So it sounds like I'm trying to have my cake and eat it too. Well, hey, I love cake, so you might be right. But yeah, interesting conversations in the comments. I don't feel like anybody's gotten really nasty. Usually with a video like that, someone being like, oh, I can't take you seriously anymore because you didn't like this. I mean, I've had a couple people, the Brent Weeks fans always jump all over me, and that's just something just going to have to accept, guys. I'm just, Name of the Wind and Brent Weeks are just two things that didn't click with me that I know that a lot of people do like. And again, it's never meant maliciously. Me disliking it doesn't take it away from you. It's still there, and you're still allowed to like it, and I would never criticize you for doing so. So always a fun video to talk about, and it's more fun when people aren't being really nasty in the comments. September 2022 book haul. This is at 12,000 views, and I think I say that it's a good month usually when you have a video that beats your book haul, because book haul is usually the most popular video. Usually you can count on it for about 10,000 views at least, on a bad one. So it's one of those things where, hey, it's always going to do well. And I mean, I always like doing those because I love to thank you wonderful people who spend your hard-earned money to send me something. That's just the kindest gesture I can think of outside of, watching my videos. I think giving me your time is the only thing I think is more valuable than that. But yeah, thank you. It's always fun for me to thank people who send me stuff and to show people who are curious about what some of these books look like, giving you the rundown of what those are. Now, here's how you know it was a rough month, because all of the rest of my high views for this month were weekly updates. So again, I'm glad you guys like the weekly updates, but it's one of those things where I'm like, I guess I should just be running a reading vlog channel at this point. But outside of that, those weekly updates, favorite Cosmere characters had 6,000 views. I do know I chase a lot of those Brandon Sanderson fans off during my Rhythm of War coverage. But, for those who are still here, thank you. I do still love the Cosmere. No author is automatic. And obviously I'm still excited about the next Stormlight Archive book. And so I do love me the Cosmere. The Troop review had 5,000 views. I had a good time talking about that book, a book I thought was very, very creepy and very, very disgusting. It will make you quite uncomfortable many a time. And of course, The Exorcist review also with 5,000 views, and I already talked about why I did love The Exorcist. Some of my favorites that didn't quite hit those numbers, bringing back Saturday Night Nights 4. I had Andy air with them, Alex from Tall Guy Reads, and Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative. Always a great time when I can talk to some other content creators, and especially the first time I've had Leslie on the channel. Alex, I actually just found his channel not that long ago, and I'm enjoying his stuff. I'm excited that as soon as I finish Live Ship Traders, I can go on his channel and watch all of his Live Ship Traders stuff and talk about that. And then Leslie, like I said, we kind of started this around the same time, so I felt like it was way past due for us to actually collaborate with something. And Andy is just one of the kindest guys that I've met on this old internet thing that we think is just so terrible. It can be great sometimes, it really can. But House of the Dragon chats that we've had with Chance. Whatever. So the House of Dragon stuff that we did, I thought it was great. Look, I have fun doing that because I get to talk to two of my closest friends about something that I love, A Song of Ice and Fire, and then being able to share that with you guys and talk to you in the comments and things like that. It's just fun to have that water cooler show back again that we can talk about at length weekly, and I'm sad that it's over, and I'm even more sad we probably won't have a Season 2 of Throne Zone until Season 2 of House of Dragon in 2024, so that's a big ouch. And then getting to talk with Jaime and Fuego from the horror show. Look, guys, I give Jaime credit for so much. If it was not for his Hail to the Stephen King segments that he did for years before I even started BookTube, I don't know that I ever would have started this channel. So I started the channel, it was an accident, but then I said, okay, let me see if this is Wheel of Time or if this is me. Am I good at this? And then I said, I want to talk about all the Stephen King stuff. And I never would have done that if it wasn't for him. So I was so much fun being able to talk to him for 2.5 hours talking about just everything, music, movies, TV. That was meant to actually be a debut of a segment called the Idiot Box I'm doing over on Mike's Media Reviews. And when you start a secondary channel, you got to start from scratch again. And I hadn't been approved to live stream yet. So yeah, it feels weird, but so I unexpectedly, I'd already planned that with him. I wasn't going to reschedule over that, so we just went ahead and had it over here. But yeah, anytime I can talk to Jaime, my brother from another mother, my Sai, when it comes to all things Stephen King, it's always a great time, and I'm glad that he did join me. How about that good old flop of the month, that video that didn't really move the needle at all? Made me realize that nostalgia for me might not necessarily be nostalgia for you guys. I thought a fun little treat on Halloween Day and to kind of close out spooky season would be to talk about scary stories to tell in the dark. That's one of my favorite horror novels ever. I mean, it's short stories. Can't really call it a novel. But that is the gateway book for me for horror. That was where I just realized, okay, I already like horror movies. This made me realize I was interested in horror fiction. It led to me reading Dracula, a year later. It led to me reading the Brothers Grimm, reading H.P. Lovecraft, all these things. It was very much the gateway for me. And it was so nostalgic because it was just like, that was just a touchstone moment for my generation. In junior high when they would sell those books at book fairs, and we're like, wow, I can't believe they let us have this. Actually, it was elementary. I think it was fifth grade. It's fifth grade, yeah. And it was just one of those things that just like we passed that thing around like it was contraband, and everybody got a good look at it. And that art in that book has just been ingrained in our memory. But as of recording this, it has 1,600 views. So I'm guessing you guys weren't as interested in it as I was. Now, given it is only, a couple days old at this point, but still, usually you can tell the first 24 to 48 hours how a video is going to do. So that's one of those that, hey, look, it's something that I loved. I loved talking about it because, like I said, it was very much just an iconic part of my childhood and my gateway to horror. So I felt like it was time for me to talk about that book. So if you guys have a chance, I hope you'll check it out because the book and the video, if you have a minute, because I did enjoy talking about it. But hey, something always has to finish last each month, right? Let's talk about a little November goals before I go here, guys. Look, with me in the holidays with kids and all that stuff and time off, it's try to navigate through all that and try to stay consistent. Like I said, we've all been kind of passing the flu around the house, and you try to do that. You try to balance work, you try to balance the holidays and all that stuff. The kids having time off school, it's a lot. So with me, it's just hey, try to stay consistent, trying to find that balance between this channel and Mike's Media Reviews. Which, like I said, this will always be my priority. So this will always be the one where I stay on schedule with this channel. I'm never going to bump something off this schedule to make something from Mike's Media Reviews, but I also don't want Mike's Media Reviews to disappear, but I don't want to force it either. I don't want to feel like, okay, well, I do four videos a week on this channel. I got to make sure I do 2 or 3 that I don't want to do that. I definitely don't want to do that. So that's one of those, like I said, where I don't care about the algorithm or the subscribers or the view count, any of that stuff. That's just where I get to exercise those demons about stuff that isn't books. But I figure if I can learn how I'm going to do all this coverage for Realm of the Elderlings. I did put up a poll yesterday, actually, about, when I started reviewing Robin Hobb, I just did Assassin's Apprentice, and it had so many people after I finished Royal Assassin were like, you need to do one for Royal Assassin, too. I was like, I didn't think you guys wanted me to do every book. So I went ahead and reviewed every book in the Farseer trilogy, and I wasn't sure if I was going to continue to do it that way or if I was just going to kind of break it into, Live Ship, Tawny Man, was it Rain Wild? Is that what it's called? Anyway, to break it into each segment like that. I didn't know if I was just going to do it that way or if I was going to do individual books. Now, as of recording this, people still want me to do the individual books. So a lot of the comments that I'm getting is people are telling me they want me to do more spoilery stuff on that. Now, look, I'll never do, guys, like I did with Wheel of Time and Dresden Files. I'll never do that again, where I just do a beat-for-beat recap, spoiler talk about the book. I'll never do that again. It's so exhausting, guys, and so many people are like, you didn't talk about this, 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 and this. They want you to be the Cliff Notes. And I don't want to be the Cliff Notes guy. I don't want to do that. Or, hey, you missed one thing and just get dragged in the comments. It just is very exhausting. So what I have decided I would like to do, now I haven't put this panel together yet, but what I would like to do is individual reviews for each book, my standard format. And then what I would actually do is put together a panel for a discussion of each series, do a spoiler talk. So I would actually like to retroactively go back and have a spoiler discussion roundtable with the same group talking about Farseer, And then when I finish Live Ship, we'll do a spoiler talk for Live Ship. So these are things I'm just kind of just batting around. But, I know there are a big contingent. There's a big coterie, if you will, of Robin Hobb fans on BookTube that love to talk about the series. And I think there's a lot to talk about. So that's why I was saying I don't know if I could actually review one of these trilogies or quartets in one video, because there's so much to unpack in these. I mean, they're monster books. I don't know if I would feel like I was doing it justice just doing one 20-minute video for 3 of those books. So that's why I'm kind of leaving it open to what you guys want. I've noticed that reviews have really started to lose interest in my audience, so that's why I want to bring that to you. Let you guys let me know what it is you would be interested in watching. That's what I want to do. I am all about making the people happy. But it does seem like the Hobb fans are great in number, and they do want to hear me talk about it more. So if you guys are interested in these spoiler talk discussions, let me know, because I would love to put that panel together. Don't know who I would ask about it, but I have some ideas already. But I would love to do that. So you guys let me know. It'd be fun, really, I think, going back and doing one for Farseer, because I don't know how much I recall since I read it a year and a half ago. But it would be a fun discussion, I think. So with the sub numbers deflating a little bit, I'm starting to wonder if I'm going to hit that kind of super secret internal goal that I have for the year. It looked like I was going to cakewalk to it. Now it's looking like it might come down to the wire. But hey, you know what? The world will go on. But I say it every month, and I continue to say it, that I just want to continue to listen to you guys' feedback, what you guys want me to do. I love it when you guys feel like a part of the channel, especially part of the creative process. I want you guys to feel like I'm listening to your feedback. And I do listen. I may not have time to answer all you guys' comments, but I'm reading them. I am reading them. It's just, it's very, very tough for me to find, set aside an hour of my day to to respond to every single comment like I used to, because I get a lot more comments than I used to. I wish I could, but I do work a full-time job, guys. So it's kind of rough. But and again, like always, I love that this feels like a community that everyone feels welcome. Anyone and everyone, don't care what you believe. If you like to read, you will always be welcome here. And I know I sound like a broken record on that, but it's something that I want to make sure that I get through in case you're not a constant watcher, or if you're a new subscriber, and know I want you here. I want you here, even if we disagree, even if we argue, doesn't matter. I want you here, and I want you to feel like you're having a great time in this community. So guys, that was the month of October. How did October go for you? Why don't you go ahead and let me know what your book of the month was? That's what I always love to talk about in the comments down below, and I'll talk to you there.